Hello BBN, that was really weird. I just saw a survey on BBN, and I'm not sure I really believe it. At the end of the video, you can comment on your opinion, but they're saying that Kentucky fans are the most discouraged. Is that true? College football is a spectacle that feeds on emotions, passions, and, above all, hope. However, for BBN, joy seems to only be found in basketball. The current landscape seems painted with shades grayer than the vibrant blues that traditionally adorn the stands. At Kroger Field, the Kentucky Wildcats, with Stoops in his 13th season at the helm, are facing a peculiar moment. A recent survey by The Athletic indicates that Kentucky fans are among the most discouraged in the Power for College Football League, with 89% of respondents expressing pessimism about the upcoming season. It's a striking number, yet it also reflects the frustration accumulated after a 2024 season that fell far short of expectations. Last year's disappointment cannot be ignored. The season began chaotically with the opening game against Southern. Miss delayed nearly 2.5 hours due to storms and eventually canceled in the third quarter. If that already sounded like a grim omen, the 31-6 loss to South Carolina the following week confirmed the sense that something was amiss. There were glimmers of hope, like the impressive victory over Ole Miss, a top 10 team, but these moments were rare and isolated. By the end of the campaign, Kentucky had only 2 wins, one of them against Murray State, and closed the schedule with a devastating 41-14 loss to Louisville in Lexington. For many fans, it was the final blow in a season that seemed doomed from the start. But is 89% pessimism an accurate portrayal of the fan base's mood? Perhaps not. It's understandable that discouragement is in the air, especially when comparing the current scenario with the optimism that surrounded the program just a year ago. In 2023, 73% of the fans surveyed were confident the team would have a good season. Now, however, the story has changed dramatically. Pete Gabucci, a fan cited in the survey, expressed his dissatisfaction forcefully, criticizing Mark Stoops' management and even questioning the value of mediocre campaigns that result in appearances in minor bowls. Like the Belk Bowl, do people think the program has stagnated in football? On the other hand, it would be unfair to reduce Mark Stoops' entire career to a single bad season. Since taking over at Kentucky in 2013, Stoops has transformed a program historically relegated to a supporting role into a competitive force within the SEC, one of college football's most challenging conferences. He led the Wildcats to 6 consecutive bowl appearances between 2016 and 2021, a first in school history. While last year was a clear setback, it's important to remember that college football is a cyclical sport, and even the sports giants face adversity. There are signs that pessimism may be overstated. Kentucky boasts a solid record in opening games, having won its last 5 home games and 7 of its last 8 season openers. In the last 4 years, the Wildcats have outscored their opponents in their opening games by at least 24 points. Another interesting point is the internal perspective. While the Athletic poll captured the somber mood among the fans, KSR staffers offer a more balanced view. A third of the expert panel predicts Kentucky will achieve the necessary bowl record, while the majority project a 5-7 record, including a 2-6 record in the competitive SEC. This forecast is realistic and acknowledges the schedule's challenges, but also leaves room for positive surprises. Perhaps the biggest contrast to the fan base's pessimism is the optimism surrounding rival Louisville. The Cardinals, who humiliated Kentucky in the final game of last season, lead this year's hope-o-meter, with 100% of respondents saying they are confident in the team. This contrast serves as a reminder that college football is as unpredictable as it is exciting. Don't you think? College football isn't just about Saturday games and the battles on the field. Much of a program's success is tied to the work done off the field, especially in recruiting, which serves as the foundation for the team's future. For the Kentucky Wildcats, the talent market is about to gain new momentum after a relatively quiet period since Matt Ponatoski's commitment in July. The Wildcats are already showing signs of remaining active in the competition for key players to bolster the roster. A clear example of this strategy is the recent acquisition of Denarius Gray, a three-star wide receiver who left Auburn for Kentucky. Gray's arrival represents more than just an addition to the offensive group. It symbolizes the program's continued effort to attract talent even amid a competitive market. And, while Gray begins his career in Lexington, the Wildcats' recruiting staff remains focused on South Florida, a region traditionally fertile for promising athletes. This time, the target is Aldarius Johnson, a three-star defensive back whose potential has caught the attention of top programs like Michigan State and Rutgers. Despite a frustrating injury last year that cut his season short, Johnson demonstrates resilience and ambition upon returning to the field as a senior. He knows this will be a crucial year to secure his spot on a top-tier conference roster, and Kentucky is well-positioned in that race. The relationship between Shoj Johnson and the Wildcats coaches has been a key factor in this process. In an interview with Rivals, the player highlighted the care and interest shown by Kentucky's coaches during his recovery period. "They were still in touch with me, even though I was injured," Johnson said, "to check in on what I was doing. They're eager to see what I'm going to do this year." This type of engagement reflects the philosophy of Mark Stoops and his staff, building genuine connections with athletes and their families, going beyond simple recruiting. Additionally, Johnson confirmed that he plans to visit Kentucky during the season. This visit could be a game-changer, as the impact of seeing the campus in person, interacting with players, and experiencing the program's environment often influences a recruit's final decision. For Kentucky, which has been working to expand its national influence, attracting a talent like Johnson would be another significant step in cementing its reputation as an attractive destination for promising athletes. It's important to note that the timing of this recruiting effort couldn't be better. With the December early signing period approaching, September marks the beginning of the final stretch to convince prospects. The work done in the coming months will be crucial in defining the 2025 cycle and, consequently, the program's immediate future. In addition to Johnson, other names are expected to emerge on the Wildcats' radar, especially in South Florida, a region that has been strategic for the team's development. While fan pessimism dominated much of the recent narrative surrounding Kentucky, the quiet recruiting effort is a reminder that the program continues to move forward. While results on the field may fluctuate, building a strong, balanced roster is an ongoing process that requires patience and a long-term vision. And with players like Denarius Gray and possibly Aldarius Johnson on the board, there's reason to believe the future may hold positive surprises for the Wildcats. That's what everyone hopes for, you know? Troy Stellado's arrival is more than just a talent addition to the roster. It represents an attempt to align experience, grit, and a winning identity at a time of cultural reconfiguration for the program. Stellato isn't a freshman full of doubts, nor an athlete still trying to prove his worth at the highest level of college football. He's both a veteran who's already experienced the ups and downs of an injury-plagued career and a player who still carries the flame of ambition to show that his ceiling is far from being reached. The wide receiver transferred from Clemson arrives at Kentucky with a curious pedigree. Recruited as a four-star in 2021, Key chose the Tigers over the pressure from giants like Ohio State, but his time there fell short of initial expectations. Key played 23 games, 65 receptions, 600 yards, and 2 touchdowns, respectable numbers, but insufficient for someone who arrived with such prestige. The thing is, however, that much of this can be explained by a series of injuries that limited his playing time. Now in Lexington, Stellato sees an opportunity to turn the page and make a lasting impression in his final season of eligibility. And what's striking about his speech is the almost visceral tone of commitment. Stellato doesn't just present himself as a technical, fast, or reliable receiver. He insists on highlighting his toughness, his ability to launch himself into the middle of the defense, to withstand hits, to fight for the catch in congested spaces. This trait, combined with his physical talent, he claims to run under 4.4 seconds, paints the profile of a player who could immediately assume the role of a safety valve for Zach Calzada. In other words, Stellato envisions being for the Kentucky quarterback what Julian Edelman was for Tom Brady in New England. A reliable anchor in moments of pressure. The comparison to Edelman is neither gratuitous nor exaggerated. A native of Salem, Massachusetts, Stellato grew up breathing Patriots, absorbing the mentality of a team that built its dynasty on discipline, versatility, and sheer dedication. Edelman became a three-time Super Bowl champion and MVP in 2019, not just for his numbers 6,822 yards in the regular season and nearly 1,500 in the playoffs, but for the way he transformed himself into a solution when everything seemed hopeless. Stellato seeks precisely this identity in Lexington, not to be just another target, but the guy willing to do the dirty work, the invisible work that defines victories. What Stoops gains, therefore, is twofold. On the one hand, a receiver with Power 5 experience, hardened by a difficult journey, but still with the explosiveness and speed to make a difference in the offense. On the other, a mature leadership that presents itself clearly, a 23-year world player who isn't looking for empty statistics, but rather to build a reputation as a winner. This mindset fits perfectly with the program's current situation, as it seeks to redefine its competitive foundation to once again compete on equal terms in the SEC. Kentucky can't expect Stellato to become Edelman in terms of numbers or accomplishments. That's a rare feat, but it can aspire to have someone in the locker room who embodies the culture Stoops wants to cement: resilience, versatility, and team spirit. If his health finally matches his heart and ambition, Stellato has the credentials to be one of the names that will most excite the fans at Kroger Field this fall. Share your thoughts now. I'd love to hear your comments.